Okay, so one of the Okay, I'm going to demo on one of my boxes here on how I install the wheel. I thought about putting the wheel above, but on the side is probably the best. And then, alrighty. The first thing we do is I drill the bolt hole. Okay. Then I have these number 6 bolts right here with a nut, and then I got these little extra large washers so that it doesn't pull through very, very easily. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. The drill bit isn't long enough. Oh, there we go. With the spacer on it. Okay, got that. I've already glued the frame rests on the inside there. Hopefully you can see that. Not much to it. Grab my washer. Actually, first thing I do, just put a touch of Loctite on my bolt. Then slide the washer on, and the nut. Okay. I do want this snug because you know, I don't want this turning on its own when I'm in transport. I don't want it moving or sliding or anything like that. So, you know, not tight, but snug. Okay. So I got that. That's in. So now we just locate our hole here, and I'm putting my hole 90 degrees to my bolt. You know, that's up to you, however you want to do it. You know, you can do it directly above it. You know, I ended up centering this hole with the center here, and that's how I do it. Now, I'm using this little auger bit, and then I'm putting my hand back here so that I don't blow out the back of this. And this is actually a 1-inch hole, so I'm just trying to very, very easy, not plunging it down. through coming from the auger, and I just want it just to barely come through. There. Now, what it leaves me with, which is exactly what I want, is just a little, this is kind of looks like a little washer here. You know, that's exactly how I want, instead of a big blowout, I want it to be just perfect round little area. Okay, and then, you know, all these little pieces of insulation you can kind of see. So I literally take my heat gun, put my hand back to the back here. I put a low setting actually, and then I just first things I did when I took a look at the Man Lake Mini Mating Nuke. They have 3 frames, queen excluder, and a reservoir in the back of the mating nuke to hold your sugar syrup or your fondant, whichever one you want to use. Now, the Man Lake is obviously smaller vessel than these medical containers that I got. So the first thing I had to do is to locate and decide on what I'm going to use for a syrup or fondant container in the back of my nuke. So I was looking around. I didn't find anything. A friend of mine found these over at Man Lake. These are actually a liner for this mating nuke itself. If the bees ever were to chew this away or ever got a leak, you can use these liners and slide them in. So I'm going to use this liner as my reservoir itself. Now, as you can see here, right here, this liner is very small for the size of my mating nuke. But that's not going to deter me whatsoever. I'm actually just going to put it in there, and I'm going to fill these gaps with either insulation or steel wool or something like that, so the bees don't build burr comb in between. But that'll act as a good reservoir for that. However, I'm also going to need, it's hard for you to see right here, but there's a back wall right here to separate the bees from the frames to the reservoir to keep the queen essentially on this side of it. Now they have a wall and they have a little mini queen excluder right here built in that kind of slides in. Now I obviously can't do that, so I kind of got to be creative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Luan, like a Luan board as a wall in the back and just glue it in place. And so first thing I got to do is measure that distance, and what I got is 6 and a 1/16 roughly. So I've set my table saw up at 6 and a 1/16, and I'm going to cut my board at that width and use that as my wall. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Let's get all this stuff out of the way. So I should have enough there. So if I do 4 inches, or do I do 4 1/8? I do 4 1/8. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Okay, let's see. I'm going to put this in here, and then we'll slide this board in. There. So that's what this is going to look like. Now this board doesn't have to hold back any syrup or anything like that. It's just a divider wall, and then I will cut a little section out of here to put a little queen excluder in the way there. But I just wanted to see if this will work. Looks like it will, no problem. And then I'll glue that in place. So there we go. That looks like it should work just fine. And then, yeah, the lid will go right on top, no problem. I was trying to decide how high I should make these. Now there's a little lip here, and I could go even just a little bit longer, like 4 and not an eighth, but 3/16. And I might do that just to kind of bridge this little gap in the lid. I'll probably do that on the next one. Okay. So I ended up getting how many out of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of them. Not 12. Okay. Blade width takes up some too, so. Okay. And we'll take a look at this one actually. We'll pull this straight out. Put that back in there. And this one, these are the 1/8, a little bit taller, or 16th taller. Okay. I think this is going to work out fine. So there we go. I got a little, just a little higher here, and that'll make up for this little gap, I think. I think that'll work perfect for it. Okay. Let me cut another bunch of these, and we'll roll on. So now I've got all of those made up. Now it's time to start working on the frames. So let's take a look. Now the Man Lake frames are not like the typical, the mini mating nuke frames are not like the typical frames. They are essentially 7/8, well, 15/16 actually, wide, and about 7/16 inch thick. Now, I was looking around, and it's really hard because obviously most of your nominal lumber, when you get a 1x, it's 3/4. So I was trying to figure out how I can get a 1-inch board that'll work for this. And what I was digging around by Lowe's, and I found some of this board that's actually they make for shelving, and it's actually got a bullnose front end on it, but that's okay because it's about 1 inch thick. It's a little over 1 inch, like 1 inch and 1/16, I believe, which is going to have to work because that's the closest I could come. So, and it's a solid piece of board. So what I need to do is cut strips out of this that are about a ½ inch deep, roughly. Now, the man lake box is deeper than the medical container styrofoam. So I want to keep, you know, as much comb in there as possible. The good news is my the medical containers are wider than they are deep than the man lake ones, so it'll be about the same amount of comb area for the bees to build on. So that's obviously a plus. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to raise my blade up a little bit so that when I'm ripping this, I get about a blade thickness through. Okay, a little over a tooth. Okay, that's what I want. Now, I want to set this at about between 7/16 and a ½ inch, I'm going to guess. That's right around where I want it. I want them strong enough, but they don't have to. That one down a little bit. Okay. So I've got all my frames cut and center groove installed on my on the frames. Next step for me is to install the sidewalls on my frames so that the bees will build comb inside the sides of the frame and not connect the comb to the side of the hive. Now, if you can kind of see that, what I've done is I've installed a 3/8 inch piece of plywood on the inside, and it's essentially 3/8 of an inch down, and that will serve as my frame rest. Actually, I was going to use just strips. I had some made. Where'd they go? I was going to use just these strips that I had put in here as frame rests and glue them to the side. And I will glue these to the side too, but a friend of mine had suggested, one of my beekeeping friends, Wayne, had suggested that, you know, doing a full size, I don't have to guess where to glue the frame rest. It's automatically 3/8 inch down when it sits on the bottom of the box. Yeah, it does eat up a little bit more wood, but you know, it works. But this is how this will go, and then the frame will sit on the inside like that. And these grooves here, I went out and bought coincidentally a pack of stir sticks, paint stir sticks from Lowe's. A pack of 10 was 98 cents, and I bought a few packs of these. And what I'll end up doing is cutting these to the same length as this, maybe a little shorter, and I can get 2, maybe 3 out of each one, out of each stick. So you know, 10 becomes 20, becomes 30. But what I'm doing right now actually is just installing the grooves, cutting the grooves in. I've got it set up here so that it just cuts a groove about half the depth, and it's a little bit more than 3/8 of an inch, probably between 7/16 and 3/8. That's what seems to work the best. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a few of these. Well, that's a little bit better, for sure. See if we can get that to work. Yep. Okay. That'll work. Oh, that one's not done. Okay, I've got them all cut up. I got the sidewalls cut for a few of them anyways. I got more to do, but it is dropping down. I think it's, you can see my breath, probably 18 degrees outside right now. My hands are pretty well froze. I'm in my garage, but it's still cold. So what I think I'm going to do right this very minute is I'm going to collect these little sidewall shims here, put those in my bucket, and I'm going to go inside and I'm going to glue all these up. It's just going to, all I'm going to do is put glue on a piece of cardboard, dip it, and stick it in the grooves. That's it. So nothing that you probably haven't seen before. So the next time you see me, hopefully I'll be another step closer to getting this nuke done, and then we'll look at putting in an entrance. Here's a little tip for cutting the paint sticks for your side rails. Don't unwrap the package. It's a little uneven, but just trim it just a little bit to start. Oh, of course. It's too cold outside for my... Just to get a good starting point, and stick it against your block. Now we got 30 sides for 15 frames right there. And just continue on. Alrighty. So these are the queen excluders that will get cut into that backboard next to the feeder. I'll probably glue, you know, 2 spaces and then leave 2 opening. Man Lake only has 2 openings on there, so I figured, well, that must work. So that'll work. 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then I think I got a bunch back here that fell. Okay. Okay, I got 17 made, so I got 13 more to make, which won't take me much time at all. So I have to cut a little notch in this back panel so that this queen excluder can get in there. This part and this part will be glued and this part will be open. So I just measured over like 2 1/8 on each side to get the center so that I can cut notch for this. I set my blade depth for the height of this. And then I have a block of wood here that I'm using as a base, and I'm hoping to do this a few of these at a time, make it go quicker. So that's how that'll work right there. And then I'll glue that in just like that. And that, as they say, is that. My biggest issue is how to take out that little chunk there. I might have to take a chisel and score this out because I really don't have anything to cut that. I tried a Dremel tool and it makes a pretty uneven cut, and I'm a little anal about that stuff. But that's all my backings for 30 colonies, so what'd that take? 3 minutes? Okay, finishing up these notches. You know, you got to come up with your own way of cutting these things because I sure as heck couldn't find an easy way to do it, but Okay, that's what they look like. Nothing too exciting here for sure.